Have you ever heard of the emperor who taxed his empire into oblivion and got away with it? Let me tell you about Emperor Wu of Han, who ruled China over 2,000 years ago. He was a man obsessed with two things: expanding his empire and the money to pay for it. Emperor Wu spent his life at war, attacking nomads in the north, taking over parts of Korea, marching on Vietnam, and pushing into Central Asia. Everywhere he looked, he saw free real estate. Of course, it wasn't free, and the people living there didn't take kindly to his advances. Emperor Wu's reign was a time of near constant conflict. War, however, is not cheap, and endless war is endlessly expensive. Feeding and paying soldiers, forging weapons and armor, rewarding generals, costs can quickly spiral out of control. At one point, half of the households in the empire just vanished from the tax records. People were broke, hiding, or had become casualties of the constant fighting. So what do you do when you're out of money and half the population has just gone? Well, a massive lack of funds and a quickly diminishing population wasn't going to stop Emperor Wu. It was time to make some money, and it was going to take more than just a bake sale and a car wash. When you're strapped for cash, there's several things you can do. One of the most obvious is selling things. But what could the emperor sell? Emperor Wu had two things in abundance: imperial titles and criminal pardons.
Hey there, have you ever dreamed of being a duke, an earl, a knight, a marquis, or even just a magistrate? Well, you're in luck. With Emperor Wu's bargain blowout sale, you can buy your way into nobility. That's right, if you've got the money, we've got the nobility. So come on down to Emperor Wu's Imperial Extravaganza at your local exhibition hall this weekend. And what about you nefarious types? Well, don't you worry, all crimes are easily forgiven with a cash donation proportional to your crimes. Don't let little things like parking fines, littering, jaywalking, and murder put a damper on your career path. Simply pay the guilt away. So, what are you waiting for? Come on down. Whether it be nobility or normalcy, we've got you covered.
But even selling titles and letting criminals pay off their crimes wasn't enough to pay for all of Wu's wars. So what else could he do? Well, don't you worry. Emperor Wu wasn't out of ideas. Like the old saying goes, there's two things guaranteed in life, and one of them is taxes. Taxes went high, really high. Anything and everything got expensive. But don't worry too much, right? The invisible hand of the market will save the day. Prices too high at one store? You can just go to another, right? Wrong. Unfortunately, the government had a bunch of monopolies. You wanted salt or iron? Guess who you paid taxes to and brought it from? That's right, Emperor Wu. It was like the IRS running your local supermarket. And even with all the taxes, it still wasn't enough. Wu's wars needed more money. With all these taxes, noble titles for sale, and criminal pardons, corruption was the latest thing. A lesser man might have worried, but Emperor Wu saw an opportunity. The merchants and nobles he was taxing still had a lot of money. A simple system was set up. Reward people who report corruption, and confiscate everything from the corrupt. This was pretty effective. Many corrupt merchants and officials lost everything. But still, it wasn't enough. Emperor Wu still needed to make more money. Make money. Was that the answer? Well, Emperor Wu seemed to think so. He minted a new coin made of cheaper materials. The coin was worth 5 qian. Think of it like 5 Chinese dollars. The problem was, they cost a lot less than $5 to make. Maybe Emperor Wu thought he'd found a real-life infinite money glitch. With 5 qian, he could buy enough materials to make 10 qian. And with 10 qian, he could make 20. With 20, 40. With 40, 80. With 80, 160. He could double it and pass it on to himself forever. Unfortunately, everyone else realized this too. Overnight, counterfeiting became a real problem. Why work when you can literally just make your own money? At one point, 1 out of every 100 people were arrested for counterfeiting. Now, you might think everyone being a millionaire would be great, but all it really meant was that the $1 store became the $1 million store. Inflation skyrocketed. Money became worth less and less every day. One day a bowl of rice cost 1 chien, the next day it cost 10, and in a week the same bowl was 100 chien. This was perhaps Emperor Wu's worst idea. With high taxes and worthless money, people got poorer and poorer. But somehow, through sheer force of will and a generous military budget, Emperor Wu held the empire together until he had one last great idea. Emperor Wu passed the book to his son and abdicated from the mortal coil. He left his son to clean up his mess. So, the next time you think prices are too high, just remember Emperor Wu. It could be a lot worse.